pleasant good day, good evening, good morning, good night, depending on the part of the world where you are located. Once again, it's my pleasure to stand before the world to produce another YouTube presentation. And as usual, I greet you in our customary way. I, Imo Rameses Bakari, your psychologist and life coach from the magical community of Point Fortin, located in Trinidad and Tobago in the Southern Caribbean. It is my desire to inspire you to rise higher. It is my desire to inspire you to rise even higher. It is my desire to inspire you to achieve the goals you have set for yourselves in 2025. It is my desire to continue producing inspiring YouTube videos so that you can be constantly inspired. This will be done through teaching, coaching, writing, research, motivational speaking, feature addresses, training, and community advocacy. We are also committed to partnering with you because yes, you are deserving of becoming the best possible versions of yourselves in 2025 and beyond, and we intend to be with you all along the way. So as usual, we bring you our motivational word for today. And the motivational word for today is, without unity, there is no hope for prosperity. Without unity, there is no hope for prosperity. Having shared the motivational word with you, we also remind you of the services that we offer. We offer counseling services, coaching services, we offer workshops across a range of topics. We offer mentorship, we conduct research, we organize community programs, we have ongoing courses such as the Fundamentals of Psychology for 10 weeks, costing $1,300. We have one entitled The Fundamentals of Public Speaking, costing $1,200 for students and $1,800 for the general public. And we have another one for 4 weeks entitled Mastering Emotional Intelligence, costing $1,800 for students and $2,500 for the general public. So we have a range of opportunities whereby you can support us. You can also support us by contributing via the account information flashing across the screen, and you can also do so through our YPay and Patreon links below the video. All you got to do is give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. So we will now get into today's presentation. And the title for today's presentation is African Unity, a Prerequisite for Respect. This topic is of vital importance for Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora, because we have a situation that has become more evident with the onset of social media of the great disparities that exist, notwithstanding the great resources that lie in the continent of Africa. We have also been told, those who didn't know before but within recent times repeatedly, about how outside forces came together in 1884 through the Berlin Conference and divided up the resources of Africa. And as we all know, Africa, although it's a continent, it consists of 54 countries. And for Africa to really be a force in today's world, it can never achieve being a forceful part of the world without unity. The African Union has proposed 2063 in terms of having a common economic market throughout the continent of Africa. But that is 38 years from today. And it doesn't speak of a one Africa government, which we know it's much more difficult than on paper, but at least theoretically, at least idealistically, at least realistically, in terms of being a force in today's world, they have to move towards an entity, a continent, under one rule, one currency, one army, one military, one president. But as we all know, it is easier said than done. But the leaders of Africa, the people of Africa, got to recognize that tribal loyalty and ethnic loyalty must be subservient to the overall unity of that continent for it to stand any chance. As we all know, or should know, that Africans, any part who exist in any part of the world, not for committing any crime, but for the mere fact of how they look, are disrespected. And this has nothing to do with the personal achievements of many of our sons and daughters who have excelled in every profession you could think about. Of course, we are the creators of mathematics, and many of our sons and daughters are professors in that area, and engineers, doctors, lawyers, business people. But those successes do not guarantee respect. Those successes have not brought respect because as a collective, we do not have that unity which is so vital. And whether we speak in the diaspora of individual countries, it's in the same way that every group in every country must work together as a unit, but even within the individual groups, there must be appreciation of who you are. You cannot run away from who you are. And having an interest in your own identity and who you are is in no way a suggestion that you are against any other ethnic group. So whether we think of Trinidad and Tobago, we must be able to recognize for overall unity, there must be unity within the respective groups. And with that unity, right, primarily on the African continent, is where that respect will start to grow. But we need to take the cue from the current leaders who are making a statement that no permission is required to preside over the sovereignty and over the resources and how it is used in the continent. But as we all know, over the years, the continent of Africa has been projected as being poor. I mean, how can a continent blessed with so many resources be poor? But it is poor because those resources are not under the control of the leaders and the people of the continent. It has been projected that democratic rule must be promoted. As I said in a previous video, that democratic rule is not devised and determined by the people, but by outsiders. Why it is that outsiders must be the ones who have taken that responsibility to determine the direction and the development of Africa. That responsibility belongs to the people of Africa, who must ensure that they have the right leaders who are truly supported by the people in positions of power. We have had the phenomena of leaders who are being serving their own interests, the interests of their families and not their countries. So as a result of that, as a result of the control of the commanding heights of the economy by outsiders, as a result of corruption across the spectrum, where many African leaders have shown by their performance in office, and because of strife and contention, that has certainly put Africa in a very weak position. We need leaders who are thinking about landing spaceships in space. We need leaders who are thinking about building nuclear plants. We need leaders who are thinking of developing the productive capacity of Africa so that when the resources are extracted, they have the capacity to refine it and to convert it into a range of products byproducts that can be sold and traded across the world. So we have been deliberately as a group projected in the most negative way. Conventional media and educational institutions, as I mentioned before, have promoted the narrative of the poverty, have promoted the narrative that we are savages. Yet we were enslaved by the Arabs and the Europeans, but they are projecting us as being savage. No African country colonized no other part of the world, yet we are projected in the most negative way. When you look at television in the past and even currently, they always project images that belie the great contributions and the great civilizations that Africa have produced. The civilizations of Mali, Songhai, and ancient Egypt, and the contributions and the phenomena of science and mathematics that reflected in the pyramids of ancient Egypt. They do not focus on these at all, but they focus conveniently in convincing, and they have convinced many people over the years, that they are not Africans, and anything connected with the continent of Africa is nothing that is worthy and nothing that is worthwhile. I am saying, thank God we have a few leaders now who are showing the willingness to assert their leadership, to take control of their destiny, and no permission is required. So to wait till 2063 to have a common economic bloc, to talk about achieving some form of unity, I am saying that is far too long. At the same time, I am acknowledging the many challenges that lies in the path of that reality. But 54 countries acting on their own will never ever be able to be a force into today's world. If you don't have control of your resources, if you don't develop your own indigenous forms of governance, well then the many divisions that exist will continue to be exploited. So remember, your tribal loyalty, your ethnic loyalty, your so-called country loyalty, which has been created by those same colonizers, where they divided up the country, gave them names, created artificial borders, etc., certainly will not serve the interests of Africa and Africans. The late great Marcus Mosiah Garvey promoted that concept many years ago when he talked about one Africa, one destiny, one God. And there have been many Trinidadians recognizing the connection between Africa and the diaspora who are pioneers in the Pan-African movement, such as Trinidadians Henry Sylvester Williams, C.L.R. James, and George Padmore. And George Padmore went on to be a special advisor to the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And even today, he is regarded as a hero in Ghana. So we need to respect the contributions of those people, Malcolm X, our own Kwame Ture, etc., who have sought to emphasize the need for that unity for Africa to really truly take its rightful place in this world. And if Africans all over the world are to be respected, it must be contingent on the African continent forging unity and forging ahead in terms of development that can tell the world that we who have arrived in the past are here again and are here to stay this time. It is encouraging in terms of the response we are seeing from the young people of Africa. As I said in a previous video, continue pushing, continue working, but ensure, most importantly, that the rightful leaders are in place. If you don't have the right leaders, if you don't have the right form of governance, if you don't have your own indigenous approaches to governing and dealing with your situation, you will forever be in difficulty. So I know this message resonated with you. I know this message, should remain with you. And remember, once the blood of Africa runs through your veins, you have a contribution to make Africa great again. Your respect is very much dependent on a unified Africa, a powerful Africa, with a powerful economy, with a powerful military, with powerful economic capacity, and for their many sons and daughters to enjoy the standard of living that they truly should enjoy. Other people in other parts of the world should not be enjoying a standard of living based on the resources of Africa, while the sons and daughters of Africa continue to be subjected to conditions that are not in their best interests. So thank you for listening. Thank you for reminiscing and reflecting on the message, and ensure that you play a part towards African unity. Remember, a few days ago, May 25th, was African Liberation Day. And that was the intention of some of the earlier leaders of Africa, led by Kwame Nkrumah, when they formed the Organization of African Unity, which has now become the African Union. Sadly, the African Union appears to be under the control of European and American interests and not really in the interests of Africa. Hence the reason many recent developments, they are totally silent in it. And they are not really a flag bearer in terms of promoting Africa in a way that is really, indigenous and in a way that is free from foreign control and dominance. So once again, thank you for listening. And remember to support our work by contributing via the YPay and Patreon links, by buying any of our advertised books, by partaking in our ongoing courses, by booking a counseling or coaching appointment. All you need to do is call us at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. Remember, Africa must be united. Take care and stay tuned for another powerful presentation. Bye.